part of the importance of this podcast is for young athletes who are listening, for them to know that you can have a very successful, happy, fulfilling life and not
Yes,
be in the NBA and
absolutely.
still play college ball and still be extremely well educated and do things that matter in this world beyond playing sports. And clearly
Absolutely.
you've done. Will you talk about your motivation for going beyond your bachelor's and master's and getting your doctorate and what that meant for you and your family?
You know, being a first generation college student
Mm-hmm.
and you've paused out.
I'm here.
I guess that's me. Okay. Being a first generation generational college student is a whole another set of things in itself. Um, what motivated me to graduate one, then to graduate a second time, and
Mm-hmm.
then to graduate a third time is when I was at Tennessee State. We played Arkansas, University of Arkansas, and Nolan Richardson, and I had a great game that game, and my team we had a really good team, and we were certainly poised to make a run down the stretch and get in the NCAA tournament and probably make some noise. We had some great shooters. Um, I was cat quick, so we had it rolling. We just had it rolling, and remember after that game, I had about 9 assists and 0 turnovers. I broke the press numerous times. They just, I just get it and go. They couldn't trap me.
Mm-hmm.
Nothing. We played a great game. Had them down and ended up losing probably by about 6. But after that game, we went home to play a game, and I remember being on the court and our NCAA compliance coordinator um, and my head coach called me in the locker room, and I was subsequently told that I was academically ineligible,
Mm-hmm.
and that I remember, and all my friends from my hometown had came to the game, and looking forward to seeing me, and I just wasn't there, so I just got my car and I just went home, and it was a very very trying time for me. It was so upsetting,
Mm-hmm.
but they told me in essence, you can't perform academically to be able to play this game, and they were at that moment they were adding fuel to that law. They was adding fuel to that fire,
Mm-hmm.
and that fire burned in me, and I graduated. I went forward. I actually dropped out of school after that, and I just sort of was depressed. And I went back and said, you know what? Let me prove these people wrong. And I graduated. Then I left and went to Cincinnati
Okay.
and went to Xavier University, and I graduated again. But that wasn't good enough for me. So I actually started my PhD at the University of Louisville.
Okay.
And then my mom passed, and so that sort of um, sent me in a sort of a tailspin a little again. So I came back to Nashville to finish that doctorate. And all the guys I've played with at East Tennessee State and Tennessee State, it's only 2 of us with terminal degrees. One of my other teammates from Tennessee State has his law degree,
Mm-hmm.
and he's in Chicago, and we're the only 2. I, I I'm proud of that. I'm proud of the fact that I wanted to prove them wrong. I
Mm-hmm.
wanted to prove to the NCAA that they made a mistake, that I'm smart enough to do this.
Mm-hmm.
So, and so I set out to make that happen. And in the process, I became Dr. Damien Hodge. And it's worked out pretty well.
That's the fact that you continued on is rare. I mean, I'm sure we both know plenty of athletes who become ineligible and they go home like you did, and then they do nothing. Like they don't even
Right?
continue to pursue. Their pride is hurt. They feel they're embarrassed. They don't think it's possible. But you made
Right.
the decision to go back and to prove everyone.
Absolutely.
Now, a couple things that we know for sure is that none of us make it in this world by ourselves. Who are the
Right.
people who inspired you, mentored you, motivated you to get to where you are?
Wow. I I have a number of people, and that I really appreciate you asking me that question. That was a great question. Kendall Stevens, my pops, he wrote me and wrote. He stayed on me every single day. You got to finish your degree. You got to do this. You got to do that. He gave me so much tough love. I also had a professor by the name of the late Dr. Harry Beeman.
Okay.
He was the first black basketball official in the SEC,
Mm.
and just a phenomenal, phenomenal man that that made me step up and get this thing done. I remember, I'll tell you a quick story. I remember when I had stopped playing basketball, I went into Dr. Beeman's office and I was sort of floating around and playing around. And Dr. Beeman looked at me. I said, Dr. Beeman, I need your help to get in. I need to get back in school. He looked at me and said, Damien, if you don't get the hell out of my office and don't come back until you're serious.
Mm.
He made me so mad. And I walked away. You know how long I walked away? I didn't have my degree at all. I
Mm-hmm.
walked away for 2 years.
Mm.
And one day, something hit me, and I went back to Tennessee State, and I walked in Dr. Beeman's office, and I just cried.
Mm.
And I said, Dr. Beeman, please help me. Please help me. And he looked at me, and I remember it so vividly. And he said, I knew you were coming back. He said, I knew what your character was made of. I was just waiting on you. And, it started me on that path, So I've had great people. Just, my mom was just so instrumental. My mom wanted me to get a doctorate way more than I wanted it.
Mm-hmm.
And so when I did it, it was really for her,
Mm-hmm.
because I felt like I didn't really feel like I had anything to prove, because I know that I'm smart enough to do whatever I want to do.
Right.
But this was, in God rest her soul, she's deceased, but it was what she wanted.
Mm-hmm.
It was like she wanted it so bad. And I've never started anything that I didn't finish.
Okay.
So it was very, very important that, I finished that.
Mm-hmm.
And so with that being said, those three, my sisters, I got, two older sisters that smacked me upside the head, and, boy, you better get it, better get yourself together and do what you're supposed to do. And I've had a host of other people, James Shannon, um, Jimmy Shannon, a great, great person who has helped me since the time I was 11 years old. He saw a lot in me that I didn't always see in myself.
Mm-hmm.
And he sort of, helped me along the way as well. So there's several people that God has put in my pathway to sort of help me navigate through this thing called life, that, ultimately, through education, that, can ultimately make you a productive citizen in this society.
Yep. Absolutely. It's great that you're able to pinpoint people at different turning points in your life, because none
Yes.
of us make it out here alone. And what's ironic, and I think is wonderful, is that your work and your study, your dissertation, was all about mentoring and the impact of mentoring on African American males. Will you talk a little bit about your research and the impact that it's had in the work you're doing with students?
Well, it's I looked at African American males, persistent towards graduation.
Mm-hmm.
And I looked at three constructs in that persistence. And I looked at mentoring, self-determination, and locus of control.
Mm-hmm.
Mentoring overwhelmingly
Yep.
was a deciding factor. Whether that be peer mentoring,
Mm-hmm.
me mentoring someone, and this was in PWIs, which
Mm-hmm.
is predominantly white institutions, as well as HBCUs, historically black colleges and universities. Mentoring is so important in this society, especially for those students who are underrepresented.
Mm-hmm.
They need someone to catch them on the front end and help them navigate through. And by the time, as a freshman, you get a sophomore, junior that catches a freshman in the beginning. By the time he's a sophomore, junior, he's mentoring. It's just a revolving door, and you're able to lift as you climb as well. And it's been so important, and it's part of what I do every single day now. And mentoring, on college campuses doesn't always entail academics.
Absolutely.
You wear so many different hats. So, 1 minute I'm a counselor.
Mm-hmm.
The next minute I'm an advisor. Then I'm a father, and I wear so many hats, because students don't realize that not only are you going to college, but there's so many other pitfalls that you have to be able to navigate.
Yeah. Yeah.
I was telling a young lady yesterday who came into the office, and she, talked about being a part of the district attorney's internship. And I said, so what do you want to, what's your major? Political science. I'm thinking, district attorney, political science, English, if you want to be a lawyer, or, criminal justice. Well, I said, I want to be a district attorney. I said, you want to be a lawyer? I want to be a district attorney. I said, well, you got to be a lawyer first before you're a district attorney. Yeah, you're right. What's your GPA? 2.5. Sweetheart, that's not going to cut it. So you have to have those serious conversations. And we had a diehard conversation. And this is what I love most about what I do, is because I'm able to give them real life situations. And I think we, at institutions don't do that enough.
Mm-hmm.
We have to be able to, and I told the young lady, I said, listen, a 2.5 is not going to get it. Because you got people over here who want that same law school spot that you want, but they got a 3.5. You got to be able to compete with those people. So, and that means, so that means you got to be focused, and you got to pay now so you can play later. And I gave her so many different scenarios about paying now, what it gets you, and playing later. But the only way you get to this is to be focused. And I said, you did not bargain for this conversation, did you? No, sir, I didn't. She said, but thank you. So, you have to help them along, and you have to give them those scenarios. That's, I said, I'm not telling you anything that was told to me. I'm telling you what I've been through. This is where you're headed with a 2.5. I said, you want to put yourself in position. I said, what law school you want to get into? You want to go to University of Chicago. You want to go to Vanderbilt. You want to go to Harvard. You want to be able to go there if that's where you want to go. You want to put yourself in position. So that's what mentoring is all about. It's about grabbing those kids and showing them what their worth is.